If you own a manufactured home in an Oregon community, one of your biggest concerns may not be the home itself. It may be what happens to the monthly community fee, your ability to sell your home, and the rules that can be imposed on you when you do. Hello, I'm Tom Turner, and welcome to MH Insights. Today, I want to talk about Oregon House Bill 3054, a major piece of legislation aimed at giving manufactured home and floating home residents more stability and protection. I also want to recognize an organization that worked hard to help make these protections possible, the Oregon State Tenants Association, or OSTA. I've been an OSTA member for several years, and I've developed a deep respect for the work they do on behalf of residents in manufactured home and floating home communities across Oregon. OSTA was actively involved throughout the HB 3054 legislative process. They provided testimony, gathered information from residents, educated homeowners, and advocated for the bill's passage. So what does HB 3054 actually do? One of its most important provisions deals with rent increases. For manufactured home and floating home facilities with more than 30 spaces, the maximum annual rent increase is generally capped at 6%. For facilities with 30 or fewer spaces, the limit remains the lesser of 10% or 7% plus the applicable consumer price index. There is an exception for a significant infrastructure project in a community with more than 30 spaces. In that case, an increase of up to 12% may be allowed, but there are important safeguards. The increase must be tied to a significant infrastructure project. It replaces, not adds, to the regular annual increase, and it generally can't happen more than once every 5 years. Most importantly, at least 51% of the occupied spaces must approve the proposal in writing after residents have been given information about the project and its estimated cost. HB 3054 also provides important protections when a homeowner wants to sell. Community owners can still require legitimate repairs and maintenance. But the law removes the ability to use a sale as an excuse to demand unnecessary aesthetic or cosmetic changes just because management would prefer the home to look different. Another important protection involves privacy. A landlord cannot require the seller or a prospective buyer to agree to an inspection of the interior of the home as a condition of approving the sale or approving the purchaser for tenancy. These protections matter because manufactured home ownership is different from conventional home ownership. You may own your home, but someone else owns the land beneath it. That makes fair protections for both the homeowner and the community owner especially important. I believe HB 3054 is a meaningful step towards striking that balance. But there is another issue Oregon should eventually take a closer look at. That is the growing acquisition of manufactured home communities by large institutional and private equity investors. At the federal level, there has recently been action aimed at limiting large institutional investors from buying additional single-family homes that could otherwise be purchased by individual homeowners. I believe Oregon should have a similar conversation about manufactured home communities. When an investment company buys the land beneath dozens or even hundreds of individually owned manufactured homes, residents can't simply move their homes the way a conventional renter can move to another apartment. That makes ownership of these communities a serious housing policy issue. Summary: HB 3054 gives Oregon manufactured home residents more predictability in rent increases, stronger protections when selling their homes, and greater privacy. OSTA and its members worked hard throughout the legislative process to bring these issues before lawmakers, and as a longtime OSTA member, I appreciate and admire that work. HB 3054 was an important step. The next conversation may be about who should be allowed to buy the communities themselves, and how Oregon can protect long-term homeowners while preserving stable, well-managed manufactured home communities. I'm Tom Turner. Thank you for watching MH Insights.